Okay, number 9, we want to find the real zeros of the polynomial function. And if possible, you want to always try to factor. If you can, that's the best way. If you cannot, then we can use the rational zeros theorem that we've been using here in this section. All right, so we have a method for factoring quadratics. So if we have something squared. However, this problem has a term bigger than squared. We have x cubed. So we have to use a different method here. So 35x and then plus 15. All right, if you have 4 terms like this, cubed, we can try factor by grouping. Okay, so the way we do factor by grouping, we're going to group the first 2 terms together. I'll put them in parentheses. We're going to group the second 2 terms together. Negative 35x plus 15. So you group them 2 at a time. And then we're going to factor out the biggest thing that these guys have in common. So the numbers 7 and 3, they're both prime. They don't have anything in common. But both terms have x's. And at the most, we can pull out 2 x's from each. So that'll be x squared. So I'm going to pull out 2 x's. And this one is left with 7x. So I took 2 away. We got 1 left. This one will be left with a minus 3. We took both x's. So I just took 2 x's from each. This is what we get. Now, if factor by grouping is going to work, I need to factor something out of these so that whatever's left remains the same, 7x minus 3. So if you look at these 2 terms, both numbers are divisible by 5. If I want my front term to be positive like this one, kind of looking ahead, I need to divide negative 5. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to factor out a negative 5. Divide negative 35 by negative 5. That leaves you with a positive 7, and we have that x. Divide 15 by negative 5, and that leaves you with a negative 3. And this is what we want. This is how we know it works. Since both terms end up being the same, now I'll look at this term and this as a term. These 2 guys have in common 7x minus 3. So I factored that out. 7x minus 3. I pull out what they have in common. So when you pull that from both of them, what do you have left? The x squared and the minus 5. So we're going to put those together in parentheses. X squared minus 5 equals 0. And so we now have this factored. It asks for the solution set. So that means we need to set them equal to 0 and solve for x. So I'm going to do 7x minus 3 equals 0 and x squared minus 5 equals 0. So we would add 3, divide by 7. So we get x equals 3 over 7, and then over here we would add 5. X squared equals 5, and then we would take the square root of both sides. So we get x equals positive or negative square root of 5. Got to remember positive or negative when you take square root. So these will be our 3 factors. 3/7, positive square root of 5, negative square root of 5. Do square root of 5 and then negative square root of 5.